Thank you for joining us in our mayoral debate for 2018 in Bayonne. I'm Kate Rounds. I'm the editor of the Bayonne Community News. And we are joined by Dave Unger and Lucia Mulatto, who are our co-publishers, by our beat reporter, Rory Pasquarello. I know you all know him, and we are all grateful to you for answering all the questions he asks you all the time. You know Al Sullivan.
Some people.
Who's our political reporter, and thanks to Pennington Dia, who's a staff writer and is manning the cameras today. We have 3 candidates. In a moment, each candidate will be given a minute and a half to introduce yourself and make a brief opening statement. After the introductions and opening statements, we will begin asking questions. Each candidate will be given 2 minutes to respond to each question. After all the candidates have responded to the question, each in turn will be given 30 seconds for rebuttal. After rebuttals, we will move on to the next question. And as you know, Dave has an hourglass and will be keeping time. There are approximately 8 questions total. At the end of the questioning, each candidate will make a 2-minute closing statement. At this time, I would like the candidates to introduce themselves and make their opening statements. I'm just going to begin with Mr. O'Donnell, and then we're going to go to Dr. Brown and Mayor Davis.
Well, good morning. Thank you for having us here this morning to have this discussion about the city's future. My name is Jason O'Donnell. I'm running for mayor. I'm a 4th-generation Bayonne resident, born and raised here. I served the Bayonne Fire Department until my retirement 3 years ago. I served in the state legislature for 5.5 years. And I'm running for mayor because I believe Bayonne is on the wrong track. I believe we've given our most valuable assets away for pennies on the dollar. Our taxpayers have been overburdened with that, and for the next 3 decades, we'll pay that price. I do believe there is a better way. Our plan and our vision will include all of Bayonne's residents. So I just thank you all for having us here today.
Well, thank you for having me. My name is Mitchell Brown. I'm running for mayor. I identify as a Democrat. I am a physician. I practice internal medicine, and I've been practicing in Bayonne for about 20+ years. My office is in Midtown. I also live in Midtown. I have 2 young children that attend the Robinson School in Midtown. And I'm running basically on a platform of bringing back fiscal responsibility to municipal government here. I think the government here under the Smith administration, now under the Davis administration, has pretty much been a tax and spend administration. And I think we're pretty much overburdened by payrolls for fire and police to the exclusion of just about everything else. Other services that can be provided, such as expanding services for seniors and kids, doing things like even putting up an animal shelter, all can be done if we start reining in the budget and bringing in to reasonable ranges the pay that we're paying the police and firemen. So that's what I'm basically planning on bringing to Bayonne, is just fiscal responsibility, stop taxing and spending, stop paying the fire and police to the exclusion of everybody else.
How you doing? Mayor James Davis. You know, 4 years ago I embarked on this journey. And when you look 4 years ago where the city of Bayonne was, it was going nowhere. For 20 years we had the military ocean terminal. And nothing happened at the expense of our taxpayers. Now you see development coming to the Bayonne Moppi for the first time. This is what helps fiscally, responsibly, helps the city of Bayonne and its taxpayers. The atmosphere of the city 4 years ago didn't exist. There was none. It's about time that the city of Bayonne goes back to the city of Bayonne that it was when I was a kid, and that was a community. And that's what we have done, was turn around and make everybody come out of their houses, come to our fairs, come to our music, see the art shows. Make Bayonne a community that it was once before. Because when you make a community, it's better for our children, and it's better for the city. And it's about fixing the city. No more one-shot deals where you sell something that the city owns and plug a hole. Because that's what's happened all these years. We sell something, we plug a hole, and nobody ever fixes the structural deficit. We are now fixing the structural deficit. We are fiscally fixing the structural deficit. Otherwise, the taxpayer of the city of Bayonne is burdened with that structural deficit.
Question is, what is your opinion of abatements and pilots? What's your plan to reduce the structural deficit and stabilize the local economy?
Well, I know that's been a hot button issue, and I think basically we all three candidates would probably say the same thing. I mean, I'm in favor of abatements where the project will not burden the city significantly in a financial way. Let's take a project that is a residential structure along a light rail stop that will have young professionals that are commuting to jobs in Jersey City. They don't have kids, there'll be a separate parking structure, there won't be a burden on traffic, there won't be a burden on police and fire because they're basically low crime. I think that type of project is a candidate for abatements, okay? What we've seen though is other types of projects that will burden the city getting the benefit of abatements. We've seen the mayor hand over abatements to different projects that will probably wind up being low income or even Section 8 housing at the MOT that will have kids that will need to go to schools, that will require roadways and other types of burdens on infrastructure, will increase traffic. That type of project really should not be recipients of abatements, okay? But the mayor has given abatements to things that will be a burden on the city and will eventually cause financial ruin of the city. So basically that's my take on abatements, is that where there's a low burden to the city in terms of burdening the school, burdening the infrastructure, burdening police and fire, abatements are a viable incentive to give developers incentive to build here. But for other types of projects, low-income housing, other types of things like industrial warehouses, I would not be friendly to abatements.
Listen, tax abatements are a tool for development. Okay, everybody uses them, they use them to their advantage. Bayonne is now using them to our advantage. Again, what it does is help the taxpayer. You know, the one thing everybody says is that the tax, you know, that these abatements are given out on the back of the taxpayers. Nothing could be further from the truth. Take a project like 46th Street and Broadway. Okay, those buildings that were taken down on 46th and Broadway to put up the new building paid $84,000 a year in property taxes. The new building will pay upwards of $380,000 a year in property taxes with a pilot program. So this is how you fix your structural deficit, by development. As far as the base and Section 8 and low-income housing, I don't know what papers he's been reading, but that's all luxury apartments coming to Bayonne. With the ferry coming to the city of Bayonne, that becomes a game changer for the city of Bayonne, especially on the base. Costco is a game changer for the city of Bayonne. We're bringing in a big-time store, one of the best employees of the country. They're rated in the top 5 as employees to work for in the city, you know, in this country. This is what we need to do. 1/3 of my abatements go to commercial properties which employ people. They bring jobs to the city of Bayonne. That's the other side of this. It's not just about residential investment, it's about investing in commercial to bring jobs to the city of Bayonne, and we have done that, and that's what we are doing. Now, with the luxury apartments, people say, well, what about, you know, low-income housing? You know, and I always said that the one thing I will always do is I will never leave anybody behind. And the Housing Authority has just purchased property to build another senior housing project in the city of Bayonne, because we are not leaving anyone behind.
So in terms of abatements, Mayor Davis campaigned 4 years ago and famously said that he would never sell a piece of property or give another tax abatement unless it comes with jobs for our people. Well, 40 times this administration has had an opportunity with these 30-year and 25-year tax abatements to do just that, to give our residents work in the form of project labor agreements for our unions. They haven't done it, not one. Not one of those projects has that. So we have Bayonne workers that are working out of town, passing these sites where other people are deriving a benefit. The mayor talks about not leaving anybody behind. 40 times they've done these pilots, and I question the fact that there is no affordable housing requirement on a great many of these projects. No payment into the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, nor a requirement for affordable housing. So what is that going to do to our residents? How are they going to afford these luxury apartments? 30 years. I'm 47 years old. You can do the math. 30 years the taxpayers will bear the burden of these. Jersey City is coming out of that now, after 30 years. And those taxpayers found out one thing. People in sections other than downtown have been paying inflated taxes for the last 30 years. 30 years is a long time. And these were nothing more than giveaways to wealthy developers. How, in any way, shape, or form, is that going to benefit the residents of the city of Bayonne? Now, I don't have an issue with Costco, but this is it. This is the best we can do. And it's a risk. It's an absolute risk when you talk about 30 years in a partnership that the Bayonne taxpayers have. If these things fail, what happens? His own running mate in the 3rd Ward said, if there's an economic downturn, or maybe you have a management of those developments that aren't aggressively, and in effect, we could lose a lot of tax money from one year to the next. That's the 3rd Ward councilman. His running mate said that just recently. So I think it's a big risk that our taxpayers are going to be on the hook for generations to come.
Yeah, I think with the projects that the mayor has signed agreements for, the jobs that we're talking about are going to be very unskilled, low-income jobs. What we really need to do in this town is bring up the median income with skilled jobs, good jobs, jobs that provide careers. An industrial warehouse is not the type of job that is going to bring higher incomes, higher median incomes to the town. It's just going to cause basically a slum to be formed on the waterfront in our most valuable property.
You know, I'm glad we brought up Jersey City, because Jersey City started doing tax abatement 30 years ago, and if everybody can remember what Jersey City looked like 30 years ago, most of us wouldn't live there. Now when you look at downtown Jersey City after these abatements, and to be honest with you, they continually give out tax abatements to new developers, that's where you economically fix your city. This is where we go. For 30 years, 25 years, nothing has happened in the city of Bayonne, and you know, my opponent was there for 6 years of that. This is where we fix the finances of the city of Bayonne.
Thank you.
So to the mayor's point, I was down in Jersey City when that started, and it started around commercial. It started around commercial development. They brought businesses in, and then the residential happened, not the other way around. There's another key component that the mayor fails to talk about, and in these 30-year abatements, these 25-year abatements, there is little to no funding for our education. Now, I'm raising my 3 children in the city, and education is paramount to me, and it is paramount to the mothers and fathers in this city, and for the next 30 years, we will have effectively underfunded it.